Good afternoon, all of you who are there in the attendee. My name is Abhishek. I'm the co-founder of Extra Edge, and I am really privileged to have two people who I know are the best people to talk about digital marketing and any aspects of growth and digital marketing for brands, right? And in this case, the brand being any education brand. So a few cadence before I ask the panelists to introduce themselves. So use Q&A to ask your questions. Q&A button you could see at the bottom. We will make sure we answer all your questions on the webinar itself. I'll again repeat it. We'll try to answer all your questions. We are trying to best with the time permission to answer your all questions on the webinar itself. We want to give you answers today for the questions that you have, right? Quick to start with, we would also like you to mention which institute you belong to, your name and your location. So if you could use the chat window to do that, it would be good to welcome all of you there. So with that, I start. So, I would like Anand and Shilpa to go and probably take a minute and a half and introduce yourself of who you are, where you come from, and also how you are associated with digital marketing as a practice. So, Anand sir, over to you.
I think Shilpa se start karte hain. Yeah. Ladies first. Yeah.
Shilpa, you're mute.
Yeah. So yes. So I think we should start with Anand sir.
Okay. Hi guys. My name is Anand, and I've been working for the last 18, 19 years for myself largely. I've been in different businesses. I've run recruitment consultancy in the past. I was heading an online healthcare e-commerce, a VC-funded startup, and then subsequently decided to start my own training institute. So we are a training institute based out of Pune and Mumbai, with about 6 physical locations that we have, largely digital marketing, data science, and those kind of new technology trainings are we into. So of course, we largely have been into the classroom training program, but now with the COVID, we've been forced to explore a lot of digital aspects in terms of training, and I think it's interesting. It's given us a new dimension of thought, and so there's a lot of positive with the lockdown that we have. Of course, the revenues have gone down. I'm sure each one of you are suffering. So, but I see a silver lining because that's the way ahead. So something that we wanted to do for very long, go online digital, we can do it because we're in our comfort zone with the classroom stuff. Now being forced to explore the COVID forced lockdown, I think online is the way ahead for a lot of educational. So I think even for colleges and educational institutes like us, definitely in the long run, if not a pure online model, but a hybrid model is the way that I see that the future of learning goes. So yeah, that's about me. I carry, that's something that I have. I'm an alumni from IIT Roorkee, and yeah, so largely I've been myself. So that's about me. So since 2002, we've been in digital marketing. We roughly have around 7,000-8,000 students in digital marketing in this zone. Abhishek happens to be one of my students as well. So that's about me.
So before Shilpa does the introduction, I think an audience request is that we should be speaking slowly. So the audience, we will try to speak English as much as possible because of the audience all across India. But we take your input. We'll try to speak a bit slowly. We would not rush. So just
sure, Samir. I think we'll try करेंगे. Hindi भी try करेंगे. Done. Yes, absolutely.
So Anand sir has been a growth marketer working in a startup. He now teaches growth marketing to students, and I, being one of his privileged students, I have learned few things from him when I started to run Extra Edge. Third, he has been consulting and advising to brands, about how to build their growth teams and how to think about digital marketing. So he's a practitioner. He's an educationist, I would say. He has been an entrepreneur. So these are all mixes, and he's also an education entrepreneur, like all of you, right here. Most of you here runs his own education institutes. So we have a vibrant, personality mix. And Anand sir, thank you very much for doing this with us. We really appreciate that.
So thanks, Abhishek.
So Shilpa, over to you.
Yes. So good afternoon all. I'm Shilpa from Bangalore. I head the marketing and sales at SRV Media. So we incepted SRV Media in 2011, and since then we've been working with a lot of education institutes. So digital marketing for education is our forte. And we do a lot of consulting, mentorship, running campaigns for the education sector. And apart from other sectors, but yes, education is our main forte. And we believe in a lot of analysis, analytics. So our campaigns are centered around that. I come with more than a decade of experience. I graduated from National Institute of Fashion Technology, NIFT, and did my MBA from IIM Lucknow, Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow. And after that, have been working. So yeah, so that's about me.
Yeah, I'm tempted to ask you that how do
Yes.
you navigate it from NIFT to IM to digital marketing? But I believe that conversation as we progress, right? So
Yeah.
before we kick off, okay, let me ask a very simple question to you, Shilpa, and that's a question I wanted to ask you. Why should institutes do digital marketing? I mean, let's start with the basic fundamentals of it. That why should anybody think about digital marketing as a winning strategy for expanding their brand and footprint and lead gen? So that's the first question to you from me.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a very, very interesting question and probably formulates the premises of our today's discussion. So I think marketing, offline, online, both have their own role, but digital plays a pivotal role because it gives you a 360-degree purview. So, today more than 500 million internet users are there in our country, and the youth is all online, right? This number speaks all, that why we should be digitally present and why we should have a 360-degree presence. So the youth is very well connected with social media. They're all the time online, surfing, browsing, checking various reviews, doing postings, engaging, right? So it's very important to connect with your target audience. So in terms of giving them the right content, right, in terms of talking to them, engaging with them, and building credibility is another important parameter. Like if you're not online today, you can't build credibility. Because the target audience which is there up for admissions is all online. So that number is the big thing for us to think digital. And now COVID is another big reason. Like today, imagine if there was no digital marketing, what would have happened? Like it was a dark, it would have been all dark, and we would have all been grappling, how do we reach out, right? How do we connect with our target audience? If for a minute we imagine that there was nothing called digital marketing, right? So for eventualities like COVID, digital is the only answer. In fact, digital has pushed many industries far beyond the education sector today to come online and expand their digital footprints.
Right. And Shilpa, before I move to answer, right, I would want to ask you that the kind of audience that the education institute deal with, like they are basically generation Y and generation Z, right?
Yes.
Prima facie, that consumers, discovery pattern towards any kind of buying, education course being one of the buying pattern, right?
Yes.
That also fundamentally made an existential reason for people to go social, mobile, and digital. Is that also playing an equal role in that, according to you?
Yes, of course. I mean, can you repeat the last part, Abhishek? I missed out on the
So
last.
what I mean that the kind of students that they're dealing with who are probably born in the in the year
Millennials. Yeah.
millennial, right? Millennial generation Z as we call it, right? So
Yes.
they would probably more be attuned and primed to look at a Google ad or search and stuff like that, and probably on a hoarding or a newspaper ad, right? So
Yes. Yes.
does that also fundamentally change the impetus and need to go digital as far as an education institute is concerned? That's my question.
Of course. See, education is a very, very important decision in the life of a student, as well as the parent, right? So it changes, it carves your rest of your life. Like, where you're going to study, how important, what course, niche or common, right? So there are a lot of factors involved. So rest of our life gets governed and shaped with the education we choose for ourselves, right? So it cannot be a monologue. you look at a hoarding, it's like a monologue standing out there. I can't interact with it, right? I'm not able to build credibility just looking at a hoarding. So I need something beyond that, where I can throw my questions, where I can figure out how credible is the information which is lying out there, which is up on my face, right? I also would like to talk to my peers about it, right? I would also want to see some visuals, some videos to have that credibility. Like seeing is, viewing is believing, right? So just an offline monologue cannot, help me decide my career or what kind of shape I have to give to rest of my life. So while digital marketing is just the opposite of it. So it's a dialogue which happens constantly through various campaigns, right? So through social media, through Google, whatever it is, right? Whatever channel we figure out, it's all a communication. These are all direct tools of communication.
Sure, absolutely. I think it makes sense. So, so Anand sir, before I move to you, for all those who are joining, use Q&A to ask all your questions, and we will try our best to answer them. So,
I think, yeah. So why digital? If you ask me, Abhishek, so primarily the growth of digital has been because of the need to look at an ROI and correlate an ROI versus an spend. So the biggest challenge with all the offline mediums are, you cannot directly attribute a sales to a newspaper ad or a television ad or a hoarding. While in digital, you get all those metrics in place, and then there's some way that you can put on some perspective कि कितना पैसा खर्च हुआ, कितना आ रहा है, तो थोड़ा ROI का ट्रैकिंग वहां पे कर सकते हैं. तो बाकी जगह पे करने में थोड़ा सा चैलेंज दिखता है. So I think वो पहला रीजन था that a lot of brands धीरे-धीरे shifted to digital because they say let's look at जो online population है इनको पहले टैप करते हैं. Once we exhaust them, then we will look at offline because ऐसा नहीं कि सारे लोग अभी online ही होंगे. We are sitting at some metros and some this thing. Still, internet penetration still has to go a long way for the kind of internet reach that you would need for digital. But yes, that's definitely the way ahead. So of course, जो आगे का future है, उसमें अभी से तो invest करना ही पड़ेगा, right? So एक optimization दिखता है. दूसरा second reason that digital है, शायद उससे reach बढ़ती है. अभी मैं पुणे में हूँ, but I have customers from Kenya, I have students from Dubai. And so that's the reach that I have.
But answer, so other end of the spectrum is that hey, look, I have implemented a digital marketing strategy. Now everything will be taken care of. So now my seats will get filled because this is a new thing called digital marketing.
No, but I wanted to give another dimension to digital marketing itself.
Sure.
So अभी जैसे hoarding का तुमने बोला ना अभिषेक. So जो offline medium है जहाँ पे advertisement कर रहे हैं, उसको भी digital के साथ लोग converge कर रहे हैं. So I don't know आप लोगों ने नोटिस किया कि नहीं होर्डिंग में फोन नंबर रहेगा या QR कोड रहेगा एंड देन वो ऑफलाइन मीडियम से आप एक ऑनलाइन कनेक्ट लेकर के आते हो. सो बेसिकली दी ऑफलाइन मीडियम में कन्वेंशनल मीडियम के साथ वहां पे अगर न्यूज़पेपर में कोई बंदा ऐड देख रहा है तो ही नीड्स टू चेंज द मीडियम टू कनेक्ट विथ यू. ईदर ही हैव टू गो टू अ मोबाइल फोन एंड कॉल विथ यू even if the person is. So there are two mediums which are to be changed. But online में क्या एक ऐड देखा, क्लिक किया, वहीं पे फोन लीड भर दिया, तो सारा चीज happens at the same platform itself. So that's why acquisition can be a little better compared to the offline. So however, there are certain places जहाँ पे offline की reach will be much more than an online, but you can integrate offline वालों को online लेकर के आ सकते हो. So I think that's the area that a lot of people will also be exploring, especially in the tier 2 and 3 cities. जहाँ से you would want to mix the offline and the online mediums together. You can converge them.
So, answer, before I move to Shilpa, let me ask you a quick question, and I want a quick answer to that. If I'm an institute and I want to start my digital marketing initiatives today, what is the gestation period that I need to give before I can start expecting and asking that marketer about true ROI in terms of conversions?
Could you repeat the question once again?
Yeah. So, if I'm an institute today and I'm starting my digital marketing activities, okay, what is the gestation period? कितना समय देना चाहिए मुझे, for it to germinate, for it to establish before it starts to deliver ROI or ROAS जैसा बोलेंगे, because it takes some time, right, to get things in order and place. So what are the
I don't know, मेरे पास शायद कुछ subjective answer होगा because इसका कोई definite time period तो मैं नहीं बोल सकता. ROI भी बहुत ही subjective है business to business. right? So मैं उसको बोलूँगा कि it's a thought, right? And if you see positive movements, so you continue the belief, right? And usko aap optimize. So if you ask all the online players who've been there for 10 years, 15 years now, Flipkart से पूछो या Make My Trip से पूछोगे, तो अभी भी वो ROI optimize ही कर रहे होंगे, right? So it will always be. So there's nothing like a gestation period, that it is just it's a continuous thought process, and you move towards that direction. It will come. So आप उसको ही optimize करते जाते हो. Shilpa may be able to give some numbers to it.
So Shilpa, while I
but for our institute, it's been 8 years, right? And 8 साल में from those 2 students that we started to about 150 students that we train today for every month on digital, right? All of it has been a positive movement. So it's been a contribution of everything. So I would say that's a positive ROI. I don't call that as a gestation period. But it's a constant effort. It's a thought process. I never question digital marketing.
Right. So I think it's a very good point. And moving to Shilpa. So Shilpa, he mentioned a word called faith, right? That there is faith in investing in digital marketing over a period of time as an evolving long-term investment, right? So you work with so many universities, right? So what trends or what things you are seeing, are these universities and education enterprises investing for long-term in digital marketing? And if yes, what is the change that you are seeing, maybe post-COVID or even pre-COVID? I mean, talk about that.
Okay. So I'll give you my answer in basically 2 buckets. Okay. So one is the pre-COVID scenario. The second is the post-COVID scenario. So in pre-COVID scenario, it was a mixed feeling. Okay. So there are institutes, universities who are firm believers of digital marketing, and they've been doing it consistently, continuously, and they've been seeing the results both organically and through paid campaigns, right? And they've been able to build and establish their brand using that over a period of time. Then there are other institutes who have mixed feelings, so they are used to the conventional and traditional marketing. But since digital has become so loud up on us that this is something you can't neglect, it's everywhere, right? So by out of no choice, they have to look at digital marketing as an option. But somewhere that conviction is not there, that conviction is partial, and there is a feeling that okay, I'm going to use it as a miracle. So it somewhere perplexes the whole ecosystem, I would call it. So when I'm saying perplexes, means you yourself as a university or an institute are confused because you are not 100% convinced about it. And on the other side, you're also confusing your marketer, the one who's doing the digital marketing, because you're looking at very fast short-term gains with minimalistic investments, right? Which is actually not possible, right? So it's very important to settle ourselves mentally, be clear in our business objectives and goals, what we want, maybe delve a little deeper doing our analysis that why it's crucial, how it's going to benefit us, and with a clear, vivid clarity, come and take this conclusion. And then talk about ROI matrix. Yes, ROI is definitely gets defined through digital, but then it's a step-by-step process. It's a long-term process. It cannot give you results in the short run. I mean, not like a month of a campaign will yield you admissions, right? So it's a step-by-step. And now post-COVID, right? Post-COVID, there has been a lot of transitioning. So people are understanding the importance of digital. And when there have been scenarios that there's no option to go via the traditional ways, they are realizing how good and important and helpful digital is.
Right.
So that's the thing. And now coming on a generic scenario, like when we work for a college, institution, university, irrespective of the size and inception of the brand, we look at 2 types of goals. One is the short-term goals. The second is the long-term goals. We normally bifurcate our analysis into 2 goals. So short-term goals are definitely, business centered, where we look at, the number of admissions, what have been your trends in the past, what are the main pockets and what should be now and how we can work on improving all of it. So that's the short-term objective. And long-term objective is how do we establish your brand, from a long-term perspective, both organically and, where it starts pulling the traffic on its own.
Right. So it will be fair to say, so, the COVID, however unfortunate it is, it's like a demonetization moment for education. What did to the fintech industry, at least for education industry, who have been laggards and more conventional in marketing, are primarily pushed in that direction to adopt these things and understand its importance, right? So quickly, moving to you, Anand sir. So so now an institute is ready to make that long-term investment in digital marketing. They hire some people, they hire maybe an agency and so on and so forth. One of the most important aspects in digital marketing is understanding your customer. So, user research, segmenting. To give you an example, an institute in Guwahati who has students coming from Assam and Northeast might have a different marketing strategy than an institute in Bangalore, right? So what would be your 2 cents for people in the audience who are either already in the ship to build their digital marketing assets or strategy? How would you tell them to think about understanding their students or customers, as we call it? And what are the tools or frameworks they can use to do those strategy to understand their prospect customers? I would want to know that from you.
Could you repeat the last part of it?
So what are the tools, strategies, frameworks, or what are the thought process they need to have to conduct any kind of user research or understand the market if they have to start investing in digital marketing? I would want to know from you.
So I think one of the most important things, which is an industry known thing, it's not something new, something like understanding your customer very well. So normally we have it here, but we don't have it in the paper, right? So I think that's where it starts, by understanding your customer well. So the industry has a term called buyer persona, right? So basically you identify all your buyer persona. आपके कितने अलग-अलग तरह के customers हो सकते हैं. So अभी पुणे में, if you know MBA colleges हैं, so I'll come to the marketing. I'm talking about marketing not in terms of how good or bad they are, but I think when it comes to only marketing, a lot of them now focus on students from Nepal.
Sure.
Right? So there was a time that they would focus a lot of students from Bihar, right? So they know where the flow is coming, right? So then you have different strategy for targeting people in Bihar and different strategy for targeting people in Nepal. And the same reason that I was saying, that when you go to tier 2 cities and from the interiors of Maharashtra, where let's say agar internet speed बहुत बढ़िया नहीं है, so you might also have to use some offline mediums as well, right? So I think the most important thing is you understand your customer very well, and then you go about with all your marketing strategies. So I think on paper people don't have it. Normally they would have only one buyer persona. एक ही target audience दिमाग में रखता रहेगा, एक buyer persona बनाएंगे, right? But I think a male and female could also be a different buyer persona if you look at it from a different perspective. So I think that's the first step, understanding your customer, which you rightly said, अगर digital marketing, and then उस persona में ही आपको समझ में आता है कि ये बंदा कहाँ पे time spend करता है, कौन से medium के साथ वो interact करता है. When you create that persona, आपको मालूम है कि वो कहाँ जाता है, क्या time spend करता है, and then accordingly you decide your medium. So you don't fix the medium first, कि हम लोग Facebook करेंगे या Google ही करेंगे, right? और हम लोग SMS नहीं करेंगे या SMS ही करेंगे, right? So you'll have to understand कि आपका audience किधर जाता है. So that is the first part. And second, in general क्या होता है, अभी धीरे-धीरे marketing के dynamics थोड़े से change हो रहे हैं. तो अभी one-to-one communication का ज़माना है, right? So अभी television पे कोई national brand आता है, so they would normally do not have one advertisement. एक ही ad सबके लिए नहीं बनाते, right? अगर mutual fund सही है कि 7 ad बनाए होंगे उन्होंने, so हर persona के लिए एक communication है, so that they can connect with it.
Sure.
Right. So it cannot be same communication for all their target audiences. So अगर आपके 10 अलग-अलग तरह के, so जो बिहार में communication चलेगा, वो असम में नहीं चलेगा, right? तो असम के audience के लिए आपकी strategy, marketing, communication और content सब different होना चाहिए, right? And the same will happen with, so basically that comes with the same process of understanding your persona first, and then personalizing the content. That is the future of actual marketing, the personalization of content, which is happening today. If you look at any e-commerce sites, they have a lot of personalization. Things you might be interested in doing.
Right.
Things you might be interested in buying. That is what the e-commerce does, right? And they have a different pricing. Sir, आप मेरे loyal customer है, तो आपके लिए एक डिफरेंट लॉयल्टी प्रोग्राम है, राइट? आप फर्स्ट टाइम यूजर हो, तो आप इस सेम स्टोरी सब जगह नहीं चलेगा, एडुकेशन में भी चलेगा ये। तो मार्केटिंग में दो पार्ट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा, विच इज कम्युनिकेशन एंड वो पर्सनलाइज्ड। आई थिंक उस पर बहुत कम लोग फोकस करते हैं। नॉर्मली पीपल सी दैट एज अ कॉस्ट, बट दैट्स द बिगेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट दैट you'll have to make.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people in the audience, right, I think, three things which comes out very importantly when you start to build the building blocks of your marketing or digital marketing strategy. One is mapping and writing down your buyer persona. What it fundamentally means is which demographic they comes from, which colloquial language belt they come from, which gender they come from, and which geographical location they generally come from, and what messaging works for them. And second is, rightly, personalization is very, very important. So one size fits all does not work. So once the persona is built, the ad copies or ad strategy should be personalized from a messaging point of view. So that's equally important here, right? So segueing from there, to Shilpa, to you. So when you work with institutes, and a lot of people must be asking this question: hey, how much do I spend? Okay, I have 120 seats. Each student is going to pay me, say, 2 lakh rupees. I have a 2.4 crore of revenue coming from the students in a year, right? I come to Shilpa or I come to Anand, I ask them that, how do I think about budgeting? How much I should spend and where? And should it be correlated with my revenue? If yes, how? So if you could walk people in the audience to think about the budgeting process of spend and how to allocate it, I think that will be really useful.
Okay. So first of all, institutions don't approach us this way. So this is probably the analysis which we do and share. So see, there are two parts to analysis. One is, of course, when the campaign starts, there is an ongoing analytics and analysis which is on the go happening and which is leading to campaign optimizations. And there is something called pre-analysis. Now, this answer is linked to the question which you asked Anand sir also, and it will solve the budget query as well. So the pre-analysis is a deep dive approach, where we do a lot of trend studies, like, what kind of TG has been coming, what is the sentiment of the TG, like what they've been talking about the institution, what the peers have been talking about, how the reviews have been coming through, how much is the organic traffic, right? What are the peers there, what kind of, is it a positive sentiment, neutral, negative, how much of it is negative element? So we do that sentiment analysis. We try to understand what kind of ad copies and all have been, what kind of content has been responsive and most engaging in the past. There has been digital presence or absolutely no presence. Then demographically, what are the main pockets? Then apart from that, futuristic, like what can be your potential pockets? Like you are not there today, but your competitions are doing a lot out there. So that's a futuristic pocket for you, right? So that is analysis which answers to the first part of it. Now coming on to the budget. Now basis this analysis, what we do, we try to understand how much spend would be required to reach out to the desired business objective. So that the institution has said that I have these many seats and I want to fill all. So first, before I say that we'll be able to commit to fill all, I need to understand what has been happening in the past. Was it 100% seats happening, or it was 50%, or it was 30%, right? It's important because you can't do miracle overnight. And at the same time, you don't want to overcommit saying that I'll do 100%, spend so much. So you will end up wasting money of your client, right? So a very, very practical approach out here, which will, which is a pre-analysis, which gives us a true picture of where do we stand in today's scenario. And this is the objective. So first of all, we have to review whether the objective is practically viable or not. And in that year, it might be practically viable 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, but in the current scenario, is it viable? And then basis that, how much budget would be required to reach out to that objective. So there is no single answer that I would say, spend 20% or 15% or 10% of your business objective. So it's a case to case customized approach, which is based on a lot of analysis.
Shilpa, can you give an example for the audience of an example of a good objective? So maybe you take two quick examples of what does a good objective looks like from an education institute point of view.
Okay. Okay. So we work with a lot of clients in each of the categories. So I'll first start with an example, which is a very well established brand, right? Who are committed to digital marketing, have been doing from years and have been seen results from years, right? For such an institution, the business objective is not, I have to fill these many seats, right? Because that's happening. The objective is the growth, right? The quality, uptake in the quality. How do I improve further? So till now, if I was say admitting a 85 percentiler or say a 75 percentiler of CAT, now can I move to 90 percentiler? You know, so how do I improve my quality with which my placements will go up? Right? How do I increase my number of applications? Right? If last year I have done say 50,000, how do I take it up by 10%, 15% or 20%, whatever is the practical growth, right? So the business objective is different for an established brand. So the business
Right.
objective becomes growth, quality improvement, right?
In the
So,
brand, in the brand.
right?
Right.
Yeah, brand. So there the analysis for budget is absolutely at a different level, correct? Now coming to another second level, where it is mediocre sized, right? So we are able to fill our seats, right? But somewhere we have to compromise on the quality.
Sure.
Okay. So I am not worried about filling my seats because that I've been able to do, but I'm yes worried about the quality because it's not good. It's been very, very average, or it's been a combination of average and below average. So how do I start improving that the average becomes above average and the below average becomes average, and year on year improvement? So
Right.
now here the calculation of budget is from a different perspective.
Right. Right.
Now the third bucket is institutions who've been into traditional marketing, now realizing the importance of digital marketing and now want to do. Now in this category also there are two types. Okay. One type is, even though they've not been very active digitally, but they still have established brands. Maybe because of the quality, infrastructure, placements, quality of education, legacy, whatever. So they're very, very low on digital, but still they have good brand recall. Okay.
Right.
So now here the objective is maximization. Okay. Expanding your reach, going beyond offline and, now targeting the online customer.
Sure.
Okay. So the budget looks different. The analysis for the budget is different. Now in the same category, there are institutions who've never spent in digital or have spent very minimalistic,
Right.
and also do not have a good brand recall.
Sure.
Okay. So now here the problem is very, very large. Okay. So then you have to explain to your client that it's going to be a long-term shot. It cannot be, because now here there are multiple problems to solve, right? So the business objectives have to be divided over the years, over a span of time. So, first is to build your brand, right? Because only if you are able to build some traction, you will you'll be looking at the second objective, which is filling your seats 100%.
Right. Sure.
Correct. So and then over a period of time, organic recall. Correct. So the solving of the problem is different. In fact, for such clients, we don't advocate spending too much because it's the first time. So even the spends have to be step by step.
Right. So basically what Shilpa, you're saying that as we dissect the students, we also need to dissect our own history, our legacy, our longevity in the market, and then attribute
Yes.
our marketing strategy based on that. Right. So this is exactly what you're saying. Right.
Yes. Yes.
So moving to you, we are talking a lot about the word called brand. It's like so much misused at times, and it's like a cliche, right? So let me talk about brand ambassador. So any online brand has a brand ambassador called its website, right? Everybody knows about the website, but often than not, people make a lot of, I think mythical mistakes, or like a misnomer around websites, like and things like, is my website unique? Is it mobile friendly? Is the content and copy on my website very unique to my brand and what I bring on the table? Right. Third is that, are the right content there on the website, which are the content to please or prime the student who's coming onto the website, or the parent. So website as a brand ambassador, what are the biggest, I would say, myths that should be debunked, and how somebody should look at establishing this brand ambassador when they look at their website or websites or landing pages in a way. Talk a little about that, and talk a little about what mistakes people make, and what is the way to make sure that it reflects a strong brand in the overall aspect of the website.
So one question that I would ask to the audience right now, and I would want them to raise hands, or probably in the chat they could say yes or no. So how many of you feel that digital marketing will drive sales for you? So I'll rephrase it. How many of you feel that if you don't get an outcome out of a campaign, then digital marketing is the failure?
It's very difficult. Probably we can take a poll at the end of that.
Yes, no. Just they have to type, because they've been listening to us. I want them to rather than going.
I will rephrase the question, guys. You can type on the chat quickly.
In the chat itself, yeah, chat. I'm saying yes or no. And just how many of you?
The question is that, if you invest in digital marketing and it does not give you the right ROI expectation, would you call that as a failure? Correct answer?
Failure of digital marketing.
Failure of digital marketing. So yes, no. Basically, answer, we have primed them, so they are all in favor of digital marketing as a long-term thing. That's what.
Wow. So now we have a very educated audience. I mean, very few yes, but yes, I think that's the way, because 90% of the cases that digital marketing might fail. I'm saying there are two reasons that digital marketing will fail. Can fail probably. One, there's something wrong with your digital marketing implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Or second, you've got the right set of audience, but your story is not complete.
Okay.
So people are not sold to your product, not sold to your story.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And these are equally important. So a good marketing for a bad product, still the sales will not happen. Mm-hmm. A good product without a marketing, still the sales will not happen. So both of these have to complement each other. And I think that's where majority of digital marketing failures happens, because a lot of times business will put the entire emphasis on digital marketing and would very rarely look at themselves. When I say themselves, which Abhishek was talking about, the website part. So in most of the cases, 90% of institutes, and including a lot of you also, would have outsourced it to some agency, right? And then you would say, okay, you do the website, you do the content, and then marketing karo, I'll give you money, we need results. That's how it is, right? Yes or no? Audiences, I'm asking you. Right? That's how it is, right? Mostly you give it, right? How many times do you get involved with the agency asking them, okay, this is not the content which is there which should be there on the website, because that's something about my brand. This is not what students come to me, because the agency is an external part, right? The agency does not understand you inherently from the skeleton wise, right? While it is your business, you deal with your customers day in and out. You understand their psychology. You understand what is the reason that they come to you. Right? So when you have so much of understanding with yourself, that entire understanding has to be your sales pitch.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that has to be more with the sales pitch, right? So then that has to be a part of your website.
Correct.
Right. So the most important aspect for all of you has to be your website, and it is, you will have to ensure that your sales story, your brand representation, your brand ambassadors, everything is there or not. You cannot leave it to your agency, and then you can start your marketing. But till the time that is not ready, I think you would always have less than desired results in digital marketing.
Right. So Anand, what you're saying, and I'll move to Shilpa quickly, that the content or the story, so as to speak, on the website should be unique to the strength of that particular education brand, right? Is that what you're saying? So Shilpa,
True.
moving to you, as you work with so many education institutes and their admission teams, right? Uh,
Hmm.
are you seeing that people in these universities or education institutes, are they ready, or they writing their own content, creating their own videos, and also, so is it a collaborative effort that's happening across the table, or is it more of that they are saying you are doing, and the story at times does not come out because the people who are rightly primed to tell the story are not telling the story, because they talk to the student. So what changes are you seeing? Are you seeing a mix of changes moving towards people creating their own content story while you work?
Yeah. Okay. So, it's mutual, it's collaborative for sure. Okay. So now, again, I'll give you answer in 2-3 buckets. Now, there is one kitty of clients who've been very consistently working with us over a period of time, right? So the collaboration has improved. The understanding of their TG with us is very, very vivid and clear, because we've been running the campaigns over and over, right? So there, the input required from institution is very minimal, because over the period of time we ourselves have understood it very, very clearly, that what works, what doesn't work, what is the persona of the TG, what are the main markets, what are the futuristic markets, right? But yes, we believe in involving the client, because it definitely helps in shaping up the outcomes. It's very important, so this one first bucket, right, where even though the requirement per se is not the require, from my need perspective, while doing the campaign for such an institution who has been an existing client, and we have a journey of doing digital marketing together. So
Right.
my requirement is not too much to reach out to the client, but we keep them apprised on each and everything, like what's working, what's not working, right? In future, how we should shape up, right? So that's an, so how do I call it? So we'll say that, you're continuously educating your client. It's
Right.
on the agency also to continuously educate your client for it, right? It's
Right.
like a responsibility you have, because until and unless the client is educated, knows about it, only then they can step forward and help you. Okay. So that's one bucket. Now the second bucket is the new clients whom we acquire, and who just, because this is every year's thing, whom we've just started working. So over a period of time, we have also created very, very clear processes. Okay. The ways to involve the client. Okay. So for new clients, when we start the onboarding of the client, we easily take 5 to 1 week, 5 days to 1 week. In fact, in certain, if there are too many courses and all, we even take up to 15 days. Okay. And we tell it very clearly, because these 10-15 days are like an investment for your future 6 months or 1 year. So there we literally bombard the client with lots of questions, lots of queries, understanding what they've been doing, how they've been doing, what has been yielding results. Our analysis and analytics is separate, but hearing from the client is absolutely different.
Right. So,
Okay.
Shilpa, so basically what you're saying is that it's more of a readiness check before you start.
Yes.
In that,
Correct.
where are
And
you?
involvement also. So because Abhishek, in the process, they start learning.
Yeah.
It's a way to educate the client, involve the client, and because that's how they start understanding the importance, the ownership comes in. They don't feel that, okay, it's only the agency who has to do it. I have to just dump on the agency and they'll drive it. So it's like involving the client in the work and getting the ownership out.
I'll do a follow up on that. So, content on the website can be in the format of text, images. Video is a very new medium where, the popularity of YouTube and the
True.
video channels has been
Yeah.
very quickly coming in. So, are you seeing that maybe creating a video, and might not be a perfect video, it could be a testimonial of a student for its placement, or it could be a tour of the college, or it could be, an address from a prominent alumni who has gone to there. So, is a video is equally becoming an important medium as far as a collateral on the website is something that I wanted to ask you.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Now, see why video is important. The consumption is very easy. I go out and read a blog or an article versus I watch a 30 seconds video. The consumption is very fast, very quick, and I'm able to relate much faster because see, I'm able to see the visuals. I'm able to see the students, actual students who are studying out there, how they're talking, how they're expressing, how does the classroom look like, how does the building look like. So there is a connection which starts building. Now, so imagine now we are talking. If I switch off my camera and I just speak, the connect partial, right? But versus I keep my camera on and I talk, so people know, okay, who Shilpa is, whom they are interacting with. So that's precisely the same thing. The connect and understanding through visuals plays a pivotal role.
Yeah,
And
and with tools like Loom, video creation is becoming very easy now. I mean, like when
No, so Abhishek, I had a different perspective. I'm adding to what Shilpa said. Of course, because now see each one of these guys, also everyone who is here, they know that you have to have video testimonials. These are like, now you see there, right? And then you say, okay,
hygiene
we want this
factor.
on our website as well. But what I mean to say was, let's say if the organization understands, so there's some event which is happening. So let's create a scenario. There's some event which is happening right now within the classroom, right, in an MBA class, which is fun, interactive, right? And you want to showcase this to outside world, right? That's a real time moment, right? Do they capture those kind of moments? Because but the people do not always look at what you want to show to them, right? So they understand that testimonials are going to be there. So you'll have the best of testimonials over the years. Not necessarily those might be from the current batch itself, right? So how do you take those process online? So content is a good way, and Facebook Live. So a lot of institutes can actually use Facebook Live when the classroom events are happening. The students, and encourage students to go online. They become your brand ambassadors, because then it reaches out to their social circle also, right? And so basically a lot of emphasis has to be on real-time content generation. And good thing about institutes is you will always have people who will do it for you. The challenges for business is typically for any business is the customers will not listen to you, right? For any other business. But in institutes, when I'm the mentor and I ask my students to do something, they will do it as a part of the responsibility, right? So the colleges have a lot of bandwidth in terms of getting it done through the brands itself, through the students, right? So I think a lot of content generated from real time, and that is where I'm saying Shilpa and the team might not be there at the real time,
right.
right? But if the institute or the organization understands, okay, this is a great moment, let's capture it and go live. It has to be decided at the spur of moment, right? So, or probably they identify and they come to Shilpa and say, how do you help us get this thing live right now? Because this is a great moment. We want to take this live on our Facebook page and showcase the world what we do, right? So then it has a real-time connect. And these are short moments which over a period of time, these are touch points to your target audience. And eventually the mindset is influenced not just by one touch point, multiple touch points, right? So this will help in the long-term this thing as well.
It could become a YouTube playlist for the particular institute, which can be leveraged, right?
Absolutely. So that is where the content part, it is website, and not only website, I'm saying the digital assets, all the digital assets combined together. So website, Facebook, YouTube, and all of it.
So gentlemen and lady, we are 45 minutes, and I think there is a very important thing that I want to do. There are some areas like Google PPC, SEO, landing pages, and aspects like that, where I would want to do a quick rapid fire with all of you. And what I would want to know, I'll give you a term or a digital marketing, kind of way, and you have to tell based on an experience what generally people do wrong and what is the right way of thinking about it, right? You all will have not more than 1 minute, because we have to cover around 8 topics, right? So 1 minute, take around 30 seconds to talk about, Anand and Shilpa, what people generally get wrong about it, okay, often and not, and the remaining 30 seconds of what are the ways you would want that wrong to be corrected, or what's the best practice or way to think about it when you establish that practice within your digital marketing, right? So, okay with you? I mean, it's clear?
Yeah.
Shilpa?
Yes.
Abhishek, just one, because in the meantime, there were a couple of questions that's been there on the Q&A as well. So you let the audience know that we will answer, we'll take those questions after this session, right now?
Yeah, absolutely. For the audience, use Q&A to ask your questions. We will try to answer all of them, which are relevant and pertinent to this webinar scope. We will try to answer all of them. Nikhil, I see, is already answering few of them, but we'll try to answer from the.
No, I think on a discussion would be made, like we discussed, yes. So there's one more question. What about automation? I think that's a good question to be added in the Q&A for the subsequent once we finish our check.
Absolutely, absolutely. So guys, let me start with and I'll start with Shilpa. You have 1 minute. Talk about what people generally get wrong and what people should do, to get it right. Right. So SEO. What about SEO? What do you think education marketers get it wrong and how to get it right? Talk about it for a minute. SEO.
Okay. So most of them think SEO means optimizing brand keywords, right? So the website is optimized only and only on brand keywords. So that's the thing. Now, how do we correct it? Coming on to the correction element. So correction is, you have to focus on USPs, on your courses. You have to figure out, basically this also involves analysis. We have to figure out which are the most searched keywords, what are the keywords with maximum volumes, right? Basis that the optimization has to happen. What is the loading speed of the website? Is it device optimized or not? Is it interfering in the user experience? Do we have blogs, articles? Correct. Are the images optimized? Because a lot of people have banners, various images, but they don't know that Google doesn't crawl images. So there has to be a description for each of the images. So it's like a checklist for both on-page and off-page SEO, which is very, very critical, because website is your brand ambassador and it is the starting point for a student's journey association with the institution.
So what I gather is SEO is just not about brand keywords. SEO is about overall hygiene, which takes not into account keywords, but copy, images, positioning, and overall keyword as a volume strategy. So what kind of keyword is more volume for your brand, how people search them, and have you optimized your AdWords and ad sets for those keywords or not, right? So
I think in SEO the three things: patience, content, and the customer journey related content.
Sure.
So that customer journey related content is the latest thing that's happening in terms of SEO. Optimizing your blogs, get it. I mean, let's say if your student has 100 in last 1 year's time, let's say an MBA student searches for 100 words, 100 things before he finalizes an MBA college. So all those search terms are going to be one blog, and then you have a SEO strategy around each one of them. So basically, SEO strategy around the customer decision making journey also.
Right. So just to add to these two experts here, there are tools like SEMrush, Ahrefs, where you can search for those keywords and understand that which keywords has what volume, what's the cost per click and things like that. So you can optimize these keywords into your website, in your AdWords and add copies to it to have an overall keyword framework. But as the panelists are saying, it's just not about optimizing your keyword. It's about overall hygiene, understanding how indexing and searching works to it, and making sure overall hygiene of your website is taken care of, or your digital assets is taken care of, right? So to the next part, and another start with you, very favorite topic, AdWords and PPC. So what are the debunk myths which people get wrong and how to get it right? So 1 minute about AdWords and PPC.
So AdWords, 2 years or 3 years back, I would be very confident saying, okay, we run only these kind of match types or this thing. So today, in today's scenario, it's all about A/B testing. So you try everything in Google Ads and see which one suits for you this month. So A/B testing is the latest in terms of paid advertisement. So in Google Ads, you try multiple keywords, types, and you experiment which one works for you. You try multiple landing pages have been there in terms of A/B testing, but I think experiment in Google Ads is a must in today's world, and it's a continuous process.
So what it means for a marketer, answer is that basically they need to run different ad groups with different ad sets, with different ad copies, with different targeting for different locations. So there's a tree-like structure to their complete.
Right, Abhishek, because what some terminologies people might not know, because one of them, I don't know how many of audiences would understand, AdWords and those terminology. That's why I'm saying within Google AdWords. So even if I'm an expert, I've been doing it for long. So in today's scenario, I would always try A/B testing with all the possibilities that is there in it. So I won't say this is going to be the perfect way. So this month, this strategy might work. Next month, a different strategy is going to work. So the idea is you have to constantly keep testing. There cannot be one rule which works for COVID session, COVID era and post-COVID era. Things might change.
Right.
So that has to be an integral part of your all paid campaigns, A/B
Right. So,
testing.
yeah. So for the audience, guys, for all of you there, A/B testing is basically, trying 2 or 3 experiments to fulfill a single objective and measuring the impact of those experiments and optimizing one experiment over the other, right?
And of course, some of those are like the experienced guys will have it. Shilpa might have it. So clearly do's and don'ts in terms of. So I see a lot of campaigns which are done nationally.
Right.
Even on Facebook, people create one campaign for entire India, which I think is absolutely wrong. So
Right.
one campaign for India, entire India is wrong. So whether it Google Ads or Facebook, because you'll have to allocate budgets for different cities because you know where ROI is coming from, right? So you cannot have. So this is one very common mistake that I see a lot of campaigns that I see pan India. It cannot be pan India. It has to be city specific. So you'll have to create hundreds of campaigns. Flipkart might have 3,000 plus ad accounts, let alone campaigns. Right, so it's very structured. So I think that's where another this thing is.
Now help Shilpa. Google AdWords PPC, 1 minute.
Yeah, so yes, analysis is the key out here. See, until and unless you don't understand your TG, you straight away cannot plunge into doing any kind of campaigns. So very critical to first do a holistic analysis, what my demography is, what are my primary pockets, course wise analysis, what channels have been giving me outcomes for which particular course. See, MBA, I might get a fantastic result, say from a Facebook, but for BBA, I might not get it at all. So that deep dive approach. So which is why right from the beginning, I'm saying pre-analysis for a campaign is very crucial because it helps in saving money. It helps being razor sharp in your outcomes and meeting business objectives.
Shilpa, for the audience, can you talk about a couple of tools they could use to analyze PPC and Google AdWords, which generally you do? What would be those couple of tools?
So we constantly use Google Trends, SEM Rush, sentiment analysis, Meltwater, right? Then we use Google Trends, correct? Google Analytics on the go. Same goes for Facebook. So like all our people who run the campaigns are 100% Google certified. Then for Facebook, they're all Blueprint certified. So it's across the campaign that analytics has to be an integral part of it.
Great. So guys in the audience, we will compile a list of these tools and share with you. So no need to note it. I mean, these tools will come to you. So quickly moving from Google AdWords and PPC, now again, Shilpa, I'm come to you. Landing pages. That's one of my favorite topics. What are the fundamental mistakes people make when they do landing pages, build landing pages, and what's the right way of thinking about landing pages? Talk about that for a minute.
Okay. So first and foremost, very important to understand, landing page is not your website. It's not going to be replica of your website. It's neither a microsite, neither a mini website. So, we should be very, very clear. It's a separate entity. Okay. It's a crisp entity, which is with the focus of call to action. So, very crisp elements out there, your USPs laid out, it has to be course specific. So for example, to give an example, I am designing a landing page for MBA. So it will talk about the USPs of MBA. Okay, the placements, the recruiter logos, the eligibility criteria, the selection process. Okay. And very clearly defined CTA's call to action because it is linked with our business objective. So, and it has to be optimized. Like we say, website has to be optimized. Even the landing page has to be content optimized.
Right.
Okay. And the engaging content, call to action clearly, business objective is to maximize the leads.
Right. So before I move to Anand, so basically guys in the audience, landing page, don't treat it like a website, too many menu items, no menu item, single page, a single objective and the USP. a single call to action, maybe multiple times it can be there on the page, but a single call to actions like, book a session, book a demo, or, come for a webinar and things like that. But it needs to solve a single kind of, fulfillment or end objective point to it, right? So Anand, 1 minute landing pages, what probably problems you see people doing?
So again, I talk about customized and personalized landing pages.
Okay.
There cannot be one landing page for a student, one landing page for an entrepreneur, one landing page for a working professional. You will have to have, for every set of TGs, you'll have to create a separate landing page, even though you're selling the same product. Because then everyone wants to see what is it in there for them. And since it's short and crisp, so it has to be targeted. So that's how your campaigns are targeted, and every campaign's objective is different, and there could be different landing pages.
Right.
So for different audiences, you'll have to create different landing pages. One landing page will not work for all.
And also, it definitely ties with what you said, that as you're personalizing your audience, so probably a landing page could be for a geography for people maybe in Bihar or probably in Jharkhand, and that could be a landing page, and the AdWords targeting could be in that way leading to that landing page. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Even Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever. So all these mediums, whatever, even for that matter, so landing pages are important because you drive all your traffic.
Sure.
From multiple mediums to one single page, right? So to give you an example, let's say if you're targeting it in Bihar, right? So if you know something which is specific to the students there, so that has to be highlighted more, right?
Sure.
If you look at, if you're targeting people in, let's say outside India, Nepal, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people from Nepal now come and study here in Pune, right? Now, not necessarily they might be going back for a job. They're coming here for a job in India itself. They might not, I'm not sure whether they're allowed or not. They will be going back, right? So maybe a job placement might be more important for people in India. So landing page with a job placement story could be for the guys who are in India. For Nepal guys, it could be something else that they can take. So basically you'll have to see what's their interest, and then you have to personalize the content. So that is where I'm saying landing page again has to be personalized.
Right. Moving very quickly, Anand sir, I'm coming to you. Social media content. Is it only about posting a picture which looks very beautiful with a person holding a degree and some content, or is it much more than that? What are the primary rookie, or you would say the myths of posting on social media content, and what should be people doing? A minute.
So for a lot of these MBA colleges that we have in the audiences now, MBA colleges and the graduation colleges, career courses, rather than our institutes, since you have a very long-term relationship with these students, you can have a lot of user-generated content on social media, which will sell more than what you create as a creative. Right. So one of the questions that I could see, there's someone who written, what can we do for our MBA students in terms of getting them projects? So I'm saying they can do a dummy project on a business, on an industry, showcase it on your Facebook page. Every day there could be one student to do it. The students will share it to their connections, right? You will showcase this to the world, and this will also help. So they can do on your LinkedIn page also, because now today LinkedIn, a lot of students get jobs from LinkedIn platform as well. So I'm saying user-generated content is something that a lot of MBA colleges, engineering, graduation, and the career courses can actually try to include in their content strategy.
Absolutely. Shilpa, what do you see the myths in content, social content, and what do you recommend people?
Okay. So to me, social media is synonymous to engagement. Okay. So everybody on social media is out there to engage. So it has to be crisp. It has to be very engaging. And again, you can't do it without understanding your target audience. So first, understand the target audience, accordingly come up with the communication strategy, then further delve that communication strategy into your posts and creatives. Okay.
Sure. And I would say that video works there handsomely well, as we had already discussed there.
Yes, right? Yes. So, and it has to be a combination of little text, more pictures, because pictures appeal faster.
Yeah. So the people in the audience, right, who are representing institutes, kindly develop a process and strategy around working with your existing students. They are creative. They are already on Instagram and Snapchat. They are your right audience, to help you create those bite-sized video content on various facets of the university, and like events, placements, seminars, co-curricular, extracurricular, and that could become a constant stream of content on social media rather than just posting images about a specific thing. So that's a unanimous feedback. So guys, couple of more things. Conversational marketing, chat bot, kind of autonomous bot and things like that. So answer, you're smiling quickly about it. I mean, do not do, yes, definitely should do. What about that?
The chatbot is a great thing, but if done well,
Sure.
so if it is about question and answer, then chatbot might not make sense. And normally chatbot needs a very dedicated effort because it's a human actually answering everything. So you have an automated answer feed it into it. Even if it is machine learning, you still have to feed a lot of data, right? So you fed half of data the chatbot over a period of time. Even a lot of times Alexa would say, sorry, I didn't get it. Right? So with so much of thing in Alexa, it says, sorry, I didn't get it, right? So which means it does not substitute the human element. So I think chatbots could still be an experiment because what you're doing is you are losing out on one individual connect touch point with your customer, which probably if your agent was doing it, probably would end up collecting the name or the phone number or the email ID.
Sure.
Which probably a chatbot might at this, because if it is done well, again I'm saying if it is done well,
right.
So in true sense chatbots I've not seen. Even ICICI Bank does not have a true sense chatbot because some of the questions it might say, okay, this is not there in my dictionary.
Right. So what you're saying basically, it's great if done right, right? So it needs to be done right. It needs to be made sure that there is a human element to touch to it and in the bot itself. What about you, Shilpa? I mean, what do you see?
Yeah, so it's an important tool, but yes, it's machine learning eventually. So we have to ensure we are teaching the right things to the machine. So before we get into getting installing a chatbot, we need to create a list, a repository of our frequently asked questions, FAQs, because we would know what students, what aspirants have been asking, what they've been searching about us. So most frequently searched questions, most frequently asked questions, create a repository of FAQs and then figure out what chatbot and train the chatbot on that so that most of the answers are taken care of and there are very few where they say, sorry, I didn't get you.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's machine learning, so it's going to learn over a period of time beyond the FAQs.
So one of the learnings that we have had at Extra is that combining chatbot with a live chat. So and what happens in other industries, like when you call a Make My Trip or a SBI a phone call, right? It takes you through an IVR journey and then patches you up to a particular operator who then subjectively answers your question. So that combination of machine and human working in unison, we have seen that works very, very well.
That's perfect.
So I think, for people in the audience that don't think about your conversation strategy as a bot or a live, it needs to be both baked into each other, where there's a good handshake between, a bot generated answered questions for qualification and a human generated subjective intervention to answer your questions to it. Right?
Yeah. So where it would additionally support is like in admission season, there'll be a lot of queries pumping in, right? So human element might miss out and then human element can't be 24/7. That's where the chatbot supports you. But yes, a hybrid approach would definitely help.
So guys, keep the question answer coming. We will just quickly move in 2 minutes to question answer before the last thing. So before I end, one of the things I want to ask both of you guys that what are the new avenues? I mean, we hear about Snapchat, we hear about Spotify, we were hearing about TikTok. Now it's not there, unfortunately. So what are influencer marketing is also one area. So can you guys?
Quora.
Yeah, Quora is a great place. So can you guys take 1 minute each and talk about concerning the audience that we have between the age group of 18 to say maybe 35, 40. What are the other avenues where a marketer or an admission team should look like to create content or leverage them? So, why don't you take a 1 minute and talk about it? Shilpa, you will go first.
Yeah, sure. So if it's education sector, Quora, out of the list which we've discussed, Quora is the most important because students today want to check with their peers, what the peers are talking about. Okay, it's Quora today is beyond validation, verification. It's just kind of become an engagement tool. So all sorts of W's, what, where, why, how, all that get answered. So it's very, very important to be positively present on Quora.
Brilliant. So for people in the audience, I'm sure most of you know, Quora is a very popular Q&A kind of site. It's not even Q&A, user generated answers to questions. You can post a question and answer. It's a good way to
interaction. That would be the right word.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What about you, Anand? What do you think about what are the avenues which are new, upcoming, or often overlooked?
I think all these avenues which are already there is the right thing. As of now, I don't see much more new avenues that has made much of headway, except for Quora, like Shilpa said, that's something a lot of brands of late have been advertising there to get people engaged on the content. But again, the premise has to, you need to have the content for it. You cannot simply on Quora go and sell yourself.
Right.
So basically, it's a question someone would have asked. The best way is to engage through an answer. So you will have to have answers to all those questions that you know drive people on, or probably have your brand ambassador. So Quora, of course, it works well, but the core still is the search engine.
Right.
The core still is the search engine. My experience and with a lot of other guys' experience, all the other platforms, which is let's say social media platforms, any one of them, they're all push platforms. Right, so you catch someone off guard, right, and try to engage a conversation. So probably a lot of times you'll have just, okay, I'm just exploring. So the person might still be in the initial stages of the journey,
right,
and you're looking at a conversion immediately right now, so which might not happen. So typically for an MBA, it might take a year's time, right? So you'll have to engage this audience. So I think I look at all these social media, a lot of these social media platforms as an engagement platform.
Right.
So you have search, which feeds a fresh audience into your system. You engage them through the social media and the other platforms, and the engagement are the touch points through which slowly you're moving them towards the funnel of conversion.
Absolutely, absolutely. So people in the audience, I think one of the themes that is coming out very prominently is that having a bunch of evangelists within your institute, primarily it could be students, who are the guys who understand your brand because they have chosen the promise of a brand already. They are there in the premise, they're with you. So leveraging them, they answering these questions, they creating this stream of content along with working with a digital marketing team or an agency works handsomely well, right? So because these are new age guys, right? I mean, gentleman, lady, I mean, these people have already chosen, and if they are evangelists, a student will trust them more than probably anybody else saying about it, right? So I think getting that in, and that is one of the biggest learnings with this webinar, that all of you in the audience try to gather a group of students who can probably know your brand well, right well, and start to create a good fresh stream of content for your institutes, which might impact your admission and brand in the long term, right? That's something the theme has come very, very prominently.
And then the best part of it, Abhishek, is that's free.
That's free.
So because you have the students, right? So they're learning, right? So you don't have to pay, but you get a lot of user generated content, and they would market it themselves. Because a lot of times students will come to you and, sir, you did not post our content on Facebook.
Sure.
Because they would want to share it to your friends, to their friends, right?
So I have a
on this point, I would like to also add, see, even organic PR is very critical. When Anand sir said no, so organic PR helps you to, establish yourself as thought leaders, because these are not advertorials. These are proper articles that talk about your courses, that talk about current topics in the education stream. And, it's kind of a reinforcement which goes out to students.
Fantastic, guys. So I think we had a wonderful, kind of rapid fire with all of you. So with that, guys in the audience who are there, keep on asking your questions in Q&A. We are going to start taking your questions one by one. So Nikhil, you there? Which question should we take first? I mean, do you have any questions for us which we can start?
Yeah, I do. So I will just start with the first question. So how do we differentiate between the audience that are landing on our landing page? Like this is a question for Anand sir. Like he was mentioning, have a different landing page for different audience. So how do we differentiate the audience? Like this is the audience coming onto my page.
So Harish, mostly the landing pages that we would create are pages which are an outcome of some campaign, and campaign would be targeted to some certain set of audiences. So let's say if you're running campaigns on social media, Facebook, okay, these are people who've driven from Facebook. If you created a campaign on Instagram, then these are the guys who come from Instagram. Or if you targeted a particular geography or a college or a designation, so you know who the target audience has been. So the only thing is you have to connect the paid campaign to your landing page, which is through so in terms of technical term, there's something called as URL tracking parameters, through which you send a lot of data from the campaign to the landing pages, and then you capture it in the Google Analytics. So through Google Analytics also, you'll have a lot of assessment of, what these campaigns and what these audiences are doing. So that's the way that normally people will segregate the set of audiences. And then of course, that's how the campaign effectiveness also is tracked, Bharat. So basically landing pages are people who've been driven to that page through some activity. So you already know them, Bharat. You would have classified them separately.
Yeah.
I hope that answers, Abhishek.
So I would like to add. I would like to add to what Anand sir said. So normally landing pages are designed course-wise. So if you are a university or an institute with multiple courses, so you'll have one dedicated to say MBA, one for degree courses, one for science courses. So you will know what kind of audience is landing where. Right. And second is, of course, the Google Analytics. So the marketer will help you and give you those insights.
Right. So just to add to color to it, multiple landing pages for multiple courses or multiple products spread into, linked to multiple campaigns, right? And then these being very core, critically tracked on Google Analytics to start with, and more tools, and being analyzed maybe every week. If I were you, I would probably analyze it every couple of days to fine tune the budget, the keywords, and so on and so forth, right? So Nikhil, next question.
Yeah. So how long does it take to see the effect of digital marketing on an educational institute?
I think I asked the question, Anand. Again, the question is coming to you. So this time, I will, give opportunity for Shilpa to answer the question. The question.
I didn't get the question. Can you repeat?
Yeah. So how long does it take to see the effect of digital marketing on an educational institute?
I still couldn't hear. How long does it take for digital marketing to?
Effect of digital marketing. To see the effect of digital marketing.
Okay, impact of digital marketing. Okay.
So how long does it take? The question is that.
So it's for me to answer or Anand?
Yeah, that's for you to answer.
Okay. So I think we discussed this particular element in the beginning when we were doing discussion. Okay, so it's definitely a long-term journey. It's not a short-term. But having said that, we define two types of goals: short-term goals and long-term goals. Right? So digital marketing ROI-driven campaign has to be divided into two goals. So short-term goals become something which is linked to your business objectives and needs on the immediate basis, which would be catering to the current admission season. And long-term goals are establishing brand over a period of time.
Right. So I will give.
It's a process. It's a process. There is no one word answer to it that it will take so much time. And it also depends how long you've been spending into it. Are you doing it for the first time, or you've been doing it over a period of time?
I would just add to it as to the question, Nikhil, is that at least 1 quarter is a bare minimum that you should put a gestation period to measure it. I think 1 quarter is a very good amount of time, 3 months. Start something, measure it maybe week on week, and you can calibrate after end of that quarter, because that's a sacrosanct end of a kind of a business cycle. And then you can look at it in an education parlance. If your admission is starting maybe in the month of January, I think 2 quarters before that, at least 6 months before that, you should start to strategize and start to see how things are going, in that case. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So next question.
And again, this can be a classic divided into various ways. Like when you're starting 2 quarters before, you don't need to start your lead gen activities. So it's organic activities, it's branding activities, or engagement activities, which needs to start earlier, followed by the lead gen activities.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, Nikhil, next question.
Yeah. So which is better, organic or paid marketing? How do we decide? Is it dependent on the business or time of marketing, like the current COVID scenario?
Okay. So
both go hand in hand. You can't differentiate and say that I'll do only organic or I'll do only paid. Okay, because both have their importance. Both play an important role. Organic is a slow process, right? So it takes time for SEO, for organic activities to yield results, and paid campaigns help you in yielding faster and results in the shorter goals, solving the shorter goals. So basically look at both the things, dividing your goals into short term and long term, and then classify and invest accordingly. So organic long term goals, paid short term goals.
Okay, Anand, do you want to take a jab at it quickly?
I think she did that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nikhil.
So this is an interesting question. When we say digital marketing, which one is the best? Television or advertisement in big channels, or going only with websites and social media?
Okay. TV versus digital. It's either or it's both. Shilpa.
I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, off late, I've not seen much of Amazon and Flipkart running their ads on digital marketing. I don't know if you guys have seen or not. So that's something that a lot of time perplexes me as to why Amazon and Flipkart, they've been the flag bearers of kind of, the businesses which have been out of digital marketing itself. But I don't see their ads even during the billion days. It's very less of minimalistic ads. But otherwise, you don't see them on the online space, and they are on the television. I think one of the reasons they've already exhausted the online population, which is already their customer. So all the entire online population is already their customer, probably know them, and they're looking at including. So, but then for them, the audience is mass, everyone. All right. So that's why they have to reach out to a platform like television. But for an educational institute, you're not looking at masses. You have a very specific and niche audience. So television might eventually work out to be a little expensive affair. However, it's a great thing to feel good to be on television. So about 4 years back, for our institute, we used to run radio ads, and so we used to spend money, and I used to be very happy when we used to have our ads on radio. My wife, my family, and our students, and sir, our ads are on television, on radio. So then the next move was to go on television. I was talking to them. And then I did a ROI analysis. I said 3 months, I spent money on radio ads, and it gave me a great confidence, satisfaction, because I was like, wow, I'm there and everyone knows me. I had some interviews on radio as well. So it gave me good satisfaction to me as an individual. But when I looked at the business, it did not satisfy the business. Right. So there's a lot of wastage that I see. So then we say we'll have only digital, because we're not looking at masses. We're looking at very specific pockets. We don't have very deep pockets to target everyone and anyone and see whosoever will eventually come and convert. So when you have limited budgets, you look at very specific. So that's where I would say that digital marketing will have an upper hand over the television, unless you're looking at a mass platform.
Yeah, Nikhil, I'll just add to it. I think the important way to think about it is basically, where are your students? If your students are, or parents are in the tier 3, 4, 5 cities, right, where they are not going to search, probably in the remote locations of Himachal or probably in Punjab in that case, then probably, a TV ad in a local channel, a Punjabi channel, or a, maybe, or a, Dogri channel will probably make more sense, because these people have a hyper local effect to choosing those particular institute, because they are very near to it. So I think, where your audience is can be a mix of both. But as Anand rightly said, that it's an expensive form of ad property which people invest in. So you need to be judicious to choose. So I would say that look at where your audience is and then choose your medium. It could be both. It could be either or it could be, just one, I would say.
So I would like to add to it. In fact, specific to education institutes, see, Amazon, Flipkart, and all these are e-commerce companies. So right now we're talking specific to education sector. So as far as education is concerned, I would rather spend in remarketing. I would rather spend in organic upliftment of the brand than go for, TV ads, something which will build my brand over a long period of time and give me a better ROI.
So, Nikhil, next question.
Yeah. So, is it true that when you start off in digital marketing, you should spend more, and later as your brand gets recognized and your business gets established, your spend can be less?
Okay.
I think as you grow in business and your brand grows, you would want to grow it bigger. So then your spends will continue to grow. Yeah, so that's my observation.
It's a misnomer, Nikhil. I think as you grow big, your budgeting and your expense will become bigger because you're reaping more benefits, and you need to probably pump in more resources, money being one of them. Probably it will be more people, human capital along with the money to it.
Because you want to grow bigger and bigger. You don't want to stop if it is working for you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Nikhil, next question.
Fantastic. So next question. We are running online classes for our school students from past 4 months, but still we are facing the problem. So how we need to utilize digital marketing, that too in district place?
In district places.
Yeah.
So I think one of the, when people say digital marketing, so immediately it is like, okay, Google, Facebook, right? That's what but I'm saying SMS, mobile marketing, WhatsApp marketing, these are also an integrated part of all digital marketing. So don't look at only Facebook, because let's say in the interiors, people might not be there, right? But they're definitely there on the mobile phones, right? So can you build some engagement on the mobile phone? They're there on WhatsApp. So can you build some engagement on WhatsApp? You'll have to look at the medium there.
Right. I think that was one more question, Nikhil, that if I am in a hilly area with low internet connectivity, how do I reach out to my audience? I think reaching out to them via SMSs and reaching out to them via low fidelity WhatsApp, if you could do a one-on-one or probably a WhatsApp business.
So there's this Hindustan Unilever ran a campaign. It was a some old campaign. So they wanted to get into the rural states of Bihar, UP, Jharkhand with low, media connectivity. So what they did was they created a complete radio channel on a missed call number. Mm-hmm. So now for a college or this thing, if you're looking at rural areas and targeting them, can you set up an information platform which could be on a missed call? Because the government has set up a lot of it for the farmers. So basically there's a number on which the customer has to call, and then the call disconnects. And then you receive an incoming call, and you're connected to a radio station or answering machine, or right. So then there are ways that people are building engagements in the tier 2 and 3 cities, not with Facebook, because the digital penetration, like they have a problem. So then there people use SMS or mobile as a communication platform.
Sure. Nikhil?
Okay, so next question. How do we go head to head with Coursera and Udemy when it comes to marketing?
How do we go ahead with Coursera and Udemy when
it comes to digital marketing? Because as per the question, they have more responsive, interactive, and better sessions. So how do we?
I think that's up your alley. You should take that question quickly.
Pardon?
That's up your alley. I think.
I know that's something that we also competing with Coursera and Udemy. So that's a part of the competition. You'll have to think of how you differentiate yourself, because in competition you cannot stop. But I think you'll have to identify what's the gap that Udemy and Coursera has, and then highlight it more in your case. So I think in our case it's more of, because so your communication story is going to be much more important than the marketing channel itself. The marketing channel, of course, will take the communication story to your target audience, but then your target audience has to be convinced with your story. So with Coursera or Udemy, these are all pre-recorded sessions, right? And you have an interactive session. Can you harp on that? Can you have? So I'll give you an example what we do. So when we run our promotions, when we run our paid campaigns, it is not an image. Hello? It's not a video which we've created out of a room. It's a shot or something. It's a real classroom video, which is like this, which is happening right now. You take this 2 minute out of this entire conversation which is happening, and you showcase it to people as an ad copy, right? And we've had admissions wherein people said, okay, we saw we could see how the session looks like. We thought it was interactive, which is not there on Coursera and Udemy. So that then there are a lot of people who've seen those videos. We ensure that they have seen those videos. So that is either through remarketing or through targeting or whatever. But then they have seen those videos. So basically, it's the process. And if they're sold by the process, they'll come to you and at least give you a try.
Absolutely. My 2 cents there would be that Coursera might be the biggest online MOOC in the world, but you could be the best digital marketing agency in Shivaji Nagar, right? So I think positioning in a very hyper local way, that where your students come from, and marketing on those local channels in a very hyper local way, it will be very, very powerful and useful. Because students who stay in, for example, Shivaji Nagar will search what's the best institute in Shivaji Nagar, because they would not want to travel to Delhi to do that, right? So making sure that hyper local marketing and building that into a narrative and story, I think it's one very powerful way. And this comes from one of our customers that we have, who's one of the biggest training institute in Punjab, and they compete with the bigger players by being very hyper focused on local newspaper, on local radio, on local targeting, on lookalike audience on Facebook in that particular area.
So I think we should take a last question, and it's already past 4:30. So last question. How much is too much when it comes to digital? My question is not related to budget. I am asking in terms of creating a lead how much frequency and platforms is too much for digital marketing?
No, I didn't get it.
So the question is, how much frequency or platforms is too much when it comes to digital marketing?
What's too much? Like, is there a limit of doing too much, too little? Like, as far as digital marketing is concerned.
Okay.
So if you will start your campaign with a proper analysis, right, you will not land up into a stage of too much. You will not be burning, wasting money unnecessarily. Ideally, an education institution should have a 360-degree presence across platforms. The reason being is we are trying to reach out the target audience, and there's no one single stop for it, right? The TG is scattered and they're across. So it's always a good strategy to look at a holistic approach. But having said that, the first and foremost prerequisite for a digital marketing campaign is a good analysis. So do an analysis of your TG, understand their presence, understand their sentiment. Basis that, decide what you would want to do, where you would want to do, and customization is the key. For each and every channel where you do your digital marketing, customization has to be there. It's not you create one single ad and that's solving your, Google display, Google search, Facebook, Insta. That will not work. So understanding and customization.
So Anand, and Shilpa, there are a lot of people who have asked questions. So would you mind staying for 10 more minutes to take some
No,
questions?
I have time. I don't mind spending a little more
Sure,
time.
no problem.
Because they need to get their questions answered.
Yeah, we can make an exception and try to take questions. So allow me to take some questions, right? So one of the questions that people have, asked here is that I'll just read it to you.
So one question that I would want to answer with respect to A/B testing that I can see at the bottom here right now.
Okay.
So there was like A/B testing which I mentioned, and it does not work in terms of budget and spending. But budget and spending is the overall planning part, right? And A/B testing is at the implementation stage, wherein you want to see where your budgets have to be spent more. So Shekhar, right? So that was from that A/B testing perspective. So basically, it's more of implementation and which one is better, right? And for that matter, even A/B testing could be between Facebook and Instagram also. So when we run campaigns, we run separate campaigns for Facebook and Instagram, and try to see which does better for some courses, might do something better. So that's the implementation. Overall budget is a overall larger picture. It's like we want to spend so much amount of money today or this month. So that's the budget part.
Right. So another question is, are there some good ways to understand the working of SEO and how to boost the status of the brand through social media? So Anand, would you want to take that? I mean, any resources or any ways to learn more about SEO?
In terms of SEO, I think the online courses that you have, that could be one. Probably someone who can guide, because like you said, in terms of SEO, there are people who would have only one line of thought, or probably narrow-minded, and then you would have people who give you a whole holistic view also. So basically, I think some courses which can help you understand fundamentally. But I think one of the ways that I have learned SEO is by a lot of observation. And you observe the bigger guys and try to copy it. So there's no harm in copying the strategy of a bigger guy. Content you will not copy, but you can definitely copy the strategy as to what is the best guy in this space doing. So if you have a little understanding of how SEO works in terms of HTML tags and this thing, then by looking at whosoever ranks in the system, you can at least find out what they are doing. And then you have a mix of 10 best things that people are doing and you implement it on your website. So that's the best way that even a best guy in SEO will always keep updating himself by looking at what are the bigger guys doing.
I think one of the best ways, and I've typed the answer for the person who asked the question, is so Google itself has a lot of courses and fundamentals to get started. I have always found them one of the best resources available, highly underrated. So I think...
No, but I think I will have a different opinion, Abhishek. Sure. Google normally will have all the content that Google has is more about the platform. So it will never say how to use that platform.
Sure.
Right? So it will help you, okay, this is a tool, this is a button, this will help you do this. It will not tell you why you should do this, when you should do this, why you should not do this. So that's why that content, I think, is So it's more from a certification perspective, but in terms of implementation, so I don't think there's much that content actually will help, because
Sure answer. So there's a question for Shilpa. Don't you think that many fake dummy entities are also getting the same advantage by using digital marketing? It's harder and harder for newcomers to make an impact on market amongst all the fakes. So basically, the premise of the question is that how to protect or compete in a world where people make fake claims as far as their marketing strategies are concerned. So maybe quick a minute on that. Your thoughts.
Okay. So, see, first of all, don't worry about what others are doing, how big or small they are, right? As long as we know ourselves, we understand our strengths and our weaknesses, all we need to know is how to play on our strengths. So, others, how much, obviously there'll be large universities with crores of budgets, and there'll be small institutions with lesser budgets, but still the smaller ones do enough for themselves. So look at how unique is your content, how rich is your content, right? How much aligned you are to your target audience, how much you understand their psyche, how much what level of customization you can delve into, right? So all these understandings will help you arrive and do a very fantastic campaign, irrespective of what others are doing and how old they are in the ecosystem. And then also don't worry too much on the results, because like we've been saying right from the beginning, it's a process, it's a journey. For a journey there has to be a starting point, right? So if you keep worrying about when do I start, and I am now late to start, you will never be able to start. So make a start, don't worry about the outcomes. It will happen as a step-by-step process.
Brilliant. So
I think one of the fundamental preferences that people would have started something with, you would have identified a gap somewhere, right? And that's how you would have started, right? You would have realized there's a potential, right? So that potential is your sales pitch, which you should harp more, because that's the reason that you are in business, right? I started because I thought there could be a gap here, and I could fill that. Why I could fill that gap is why I'm in the business, right? So that becomes my sales pitch also.
Right. Question for you, Shilpa, that if all our social media platforms carry the same content, will it still come under plagiarism or plagiarized content? So what about having a similar content or people copy pasting it? So what are your thoughts on having the originality of the content, or does Google kind of penalize you for any kind of plagiarism or not? It's a good question, I think.
Yeah. So content obviously has to be unique. It has to be customized. See, beyond than anybody penalizing you for anything, will it solve your purpose? How I look at it is, if I'm copying somebody else's content and running my campaigns, is it going to solve my purpose? Is my TG the same? Is my business objective the same? Right? So if we can't spend time understanding our target audience, it does not make any sense to delve into digital marketing by copying other people's content. So content is a very, very crucial pillar of digital marketing. It has to be 100% content, customized channel by channel. It has to be original. It has to be based on your target audience. It has to be based on understanding the persona of your target audience, right? So the better the customization, the better are the outcomes.
Right.
So I think from a social media perspective, if you as a brand post the same content on all your social media platforms, I mean, it's your content, so there's nothing about social media plagiarism here. And this has nothing to do with Google as well. It's about your audiences who are engaging on different platforms. So that's why you post it on Facebook to engage with your Facebook audience. You engage it on Instagram. So I think from that's not about plagiarism. That's about your content being shared. However, when you're sharing someone else's content on your social media, someone else's content, so sometimes that's also as a marketing strategy. What you do is, there are two ways. Either you generate your own content, or you curate a good content which makes sense for your audiences. Right. So let's say I have this excellent video which is shared on some website which I think makes sense for my audience, and I reshare that content on my social media page. So I'm not claiming this to be mine because I've now downloaded it. I'm just shared. So I'm helping the other guy also. But at the same time, what I do is with this content, I engage my audiences. And so basically that's content curation. And that's also as a business strategy, a lot of brands do that. They would share someone else's content. So that saves their time of creating an original content. Right. And then building your audience over someone else's content. So there's an entire website called business model called In Shorts news app, right? So that news app is completely built out of a curated content. They don't have a single editor. So that's also a strategy. You don't call that plagiarism in social media, but especially when it comes to Google and you're talking about SEO. So you have to have a unique content on your website. Even if you copy the entire idea, you copy the entire content, you write it in your own words. That's okay. That's fresh for Google. It's not word by word. So from an SEO perspective, you will have to recreate. From a social media perspective, you can reshare. You cannot claim that to be your own content. You should not actually.
So another question which I see.
So from SEO, I would like to add here. So from SEO perspective, it's very, very important. Even if, you know, for a single brand, you have 2 separate websites, please ensure both the websites have different content, because if there is duplication of content, Google will blacklist you.
Very, very relevant point, and often, probably people might miss that. So another question I see here is that we are missing one important part of digital is to integration with a CRM. So I think it's my alley, but what do you think?
That's your product.
Yeah. What do you think? So I'll let Shilpa to answer how important it is to integrate with a maybe powerful CRM, the leads flowing in and the marketing outcome flowing in. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So CRM is very important and very helpful for the institution. It helps to build a funnel, right? So it's of immense help for any institution. Again, but you need to plug in the right way, and how we are plugging in. I would rather call it attribution model, right? So now so there are 2 perspectives. One is the perspective of the institution. From an institution perspective, yes, CRM is very crucial. You must have it. Now coming to the perspective of digital marketing, while doing your digital marketing for your institution's digital marketing, how do you ally it with your CRM? Okay, so never ever look at it from an attribution perspective. So for attribution perspective, you should do it with the Google attribution, which is your first click, last click, linear, time decay, right? Because that will help in optimizing your campaign. If you link it with your CRM attribution model, see, your digital campaign is everywhere. You can't say, where it landed first, where it landed second, or where it landed, because digital marketing is going to influence the aspirant in multiple ways. Through social media, it will engage, right? It will do remarketing with all the captured cookies and impressions, right? Then through Google display search, it will again interact. So, and through content, through Quora, through organic. So the influence has to be across, and you would appreciate and you would want the digital marketing to influence your lead everywhere, or your aspirant or your TG everywhere. So how it needs to be looked at is evaluate from where it got converted. Where it landed first doesn't matter. What are the gaps, where I'm missing it, where I'm losing it, and which source is leading to the eventual conversion, which you will know through Google Analytics.
Great. So I think I have a hard stop now. I think people are saying, so Nikhil will start a poll. So all the people here on the participant, we would request you to quickly take a poll. So Nikhil, if you could launch that poll, that will be great. I'll take a last question here, which is related to webinars. The question is that, conducting webinars, do they also help in marketing? So Anand, would you want to take this last question?
Yeah, I think webinars will help you in marketing because that connects with your audience. I'm sure Abhishek right now has some potential customers if he was allowed to speak more about his product, right? I think Shilpa might also get some customers out of it. I'm least hopeful because you could be my competitors as well. So I'm saying webinars does help, but I think you'll have to see the purpose. So yesterday we sat together and we decided what should be. So I think more of questions if we would have taken. So I think you would have gone back much more satisfied with the time constraint there. But yeah, webinars largely, if they solve the purpose of the audience, then I think, and if the agenda at the back end is to boost your sales, and the front end is to actually benefit the audiences, then webinars will help you boost, because it's an indirect sales, and indirect sales is the best way of sales in education. The moment you say I'm the best, people will move out from you, and the moment you give them a lot of knowledge and they find you credible, they'll come to you. So webinars could be a good way of sharing right knowledge rather than selling. So the moment you do that with an open heart, without any back end calculations, I think that webinar should help you.
Right. So as we come to the poll, so everybody who's there and the participants, kindly take the poll. It will help us to understand how to make future sessions better, and did we did a good job. So it's very, very important for us to have feedback, both positive and critical, to make this more meaningful for you for the next time. People in the panelists also can take the poll. I have made sure you can also take the poll. So did we unity did a good job? So before people are taking the poll, quickly, our last 1 minute thought from Shilpa and Anand. Final thoughts to the marketers here, that what would be the last message from you post COVID in this era for a minute. Quickly take a minute to wrap up. Shilpa.
So I think we've covered very holistically, covered all. So, be open for digital marketing, look at it as a process, look at it from a long-term perspective, learn, invest in it, right? And it's here to stay. It's whether it's pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, digital is here to stay. And it's going to be an ongoing journey. So, welcome it with open hearts and go for it.
Right. So guys, you can, Shilpa, how people can reach out to you? You're on LinkedIn. LinkedIn will be a good way for you to reach out.
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn. They can call me. Want me to share my number?
I'll do that, Shilpa. So we will do it from our end. Share your details. So guys, we'll share details of Shilpa as well as Anand if you want to connect offline with them. So Anand, last 1 minute suggestion to the education marketers and education admission teams from you.
So I would say, build your own funnel, content, which is your in-house team, content generation. Choose the right medium to reach out to audiences. Don't go by the blanket Google, Facebook method. And while you implement your marketing campaigns, ensure that you collect a lot of data in the process, because you will need to optimize this funnel back, and then integrate it with a good CRM system, which is integrated all of it. The communication flows throughout, so that eventually the conversion happens through what all touch points, because it's not only that one touch point which you might be interested in. It might just be coincidence. You might want to know the entire customer journey. So content, the right medium, data analytics, and a good CRM with an automation system. When I say automation, of course, someone spoke about it. So automation in terms of reaching out to the customer at the right point of time. You just have to ensure whether that's through a one-on-one call or a SMS or an email, but an information at the right time. And invariably people tend to forget things. That's why you want to set it in a process, in an automation system.
And Anand, how people can reach out to you? Is LinkedIn a good way to reach out to you? Is LinkedIn a good way to reach out to you, Anand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we will share the details.
So I mean, even if people type Anand Lips India, you can find my phone number. That's all.
I'm sure you must have done your SEO. You must have done your SEO strategy.
No, absolutely not, because Anand Lips India SEO means if you're asking for Shah Rukh Khan will come, right? Right? So that's SEO. So if you search for Anand Lips India, it has to be there, right?
So guys who are there still on the participant, kindly please take up the poll. I mean, I could see that only 31 people have taken. It would help us make the curation better. And what we will be doing is we'll be sharing the video of this webinar for your more larger audience. We will also, do a small ebook on some tools and strategies which Shilpa and Anand have spoken about, so that you can look at it in isolation, discuss with your teams. So, a complete debrief will be done from our team, from a ReThink brand, and will be shared with all of you so that you can circulate it with your own teams. So, thank you.
I think, Abhishek, one of the good things that Abhishek, what you could do is you have 2 questions unanswered. So since you're going to post this video, record it and go or save it somewhere. So you could still have some video recordings answered, of those questions. Absolutely. And have it there for people to view it.
No, absolutely. It's a great idea. So I thank you, Anand. You are a busy man, teaching people the tenets of digital marketing, to take time out for a couple of hours. We extended by half an hour, out of time. So thank you very much. And Shilpa, thank you very much. And for coming on and sharing it.
Thanks to everyone for being so patient, nice, and listening to us, bearing with us for long.
So, guys, my ending.
Thanks a lot.
2020,
Everyone, thanks a lot.
2020 is our demonetization moment for education industry. As far as digital marketing is concerned, kindly embrace it, take help. If you don't have help, build internal capabilities and also look at external capabilities from a digital marketing, from a CRM, from a marketing automation, and also, for educating yourself, training your people in the organization to take up courses and trying to become better at it. So human capital investment, technology investment like a CRM and marketing automation, digital marketing specialized investment, all needs to be done. 2020 is the year to do that, post COVID. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
And take care of yourself. Okay. So guys, as you are dropping off, kindly complete the poll. I can request you guys. You can also take up the poll, Shilpa and Anand.
Thanks everyone for this session feedback. All those who've been saying incredible, thanks.
Thank you.
And for others, we'll improve.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.